Hey guys and gals, happy October once again. We roll on with the month for today's review, part of the 31 horror movie reviews, 31 days for October. And today's review is going to be of an old classic. It's The Old Dark House from 1932. It's a James Whale film, so same director as Frankenstein. That's fitting actually, because just the other day I posted my review of Bride of Frankenstein, the collaboration I did with Horror Movie Tea, so you can find that now on the channel. Another James Whale film. This is very much in the tradition of the old Gothic style house, so a collection of characters all come upon this house one night. They're invited in by the people who run the house, and it's a very windy, rainy night. That's why they're coming in from the cold, and it's a lot about the drama of these different characters rubbing off against each other, also rubbing off against the servants who look after the house, the brother and sister who are the main kind of people who run the house. But once again, the sort of slow-moving horror plot and the dread of things coming from inside the house, noises, and a lot of it, with this being a 30s movie, is done on suggestion and almost what you don't hear at times, or your imagination running wild of, did you really hear something? Is there much to that? But it is the classic sort of setup which was made famous during this era of a group of characters conversing in this Gothic style house, and just the drama and mystery of that, about what the threat is, where it's coming from. Because at first you've got quite the cast here: Boris Karloff, Melvyn Douglas, Gloria Stewart, Charles Layton. There's a whole bunch of famous actors, and Karloff is in great form. The way the film introduces him in this sort of close-up, where he's got this sort of ravaged sort of face, this sort of this kind of bruised gargoyle face, and from the moment he appears to them, he's the sort of butler style character. There's this sense of mystery. He doesn't really say anything, he just makes noises, and he just appears in close up, silhouette style, and that immediately adds a sense of dread, or a sense of the unknown about his character. And the film definitely plays with that, plays with the sense of, can he be trusted? Is he really dangerous, or is he just harmless? Is he just, this sort of lonely character who is just a little bit disturbed, but he's not actually a threat, he's actually harmless type thing. And that's one of the best things about this film, is the sense of mystery, the sense of drama, the sense of slow building dread, and just how simple but effective everything is. So it's got that gothic feel, it's got a nice sort of atmosphere where it uses very basic organic type sounds, so the wind rustling, the heavy rain is a staple of this sort of horror, and just random sounds coming out of nowhere, which could be something or may not be anything at all. And those are some of the best sort of set pieces. There's also some good inventive shots. So there's a good shot with one of the younger characters, the wife of the rich sort of couple. She appears, and there's a split mirror, sort of a dual mirror sort of image, which is really nicely done, and that's a nice sort of jump out type moment. And just good characters, good sort of grounded characters as well, but also plenty of personality. There's a lot of fun and banter, and entertaining dialogue with the characters. And so, like, the gypsy woman who owns the house with her brother, she's a very dramatic, over the top character with heavily religious, so she really preaches a lot and has some funny phrases about, like, a girl who previously, I think it's a member of her family, but who lived here and died in the house like all these years ago and died young, and she's implying then this happened to her because she was a very outgoing person who slept with a lot of different men, and she just has these fancy over the top phrases, like she keeps referring to the girl as like godless, and like about how she was young, handsome and wicked. So sort of a funny sort of like character who's really over the top, but once again the sort of character where you could read it as she's like a bit of a threat. But this film gets a good like a good mix of like the drama and the horror, but also mixing it in with a lot of funny lines. There's some hammy performances, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, which is to its credit. I think sometimes modern horror takes itself a bit too seriously and tries to be something it's not. And this is a good one where it's a good back to basics type thing. And you get certain things with character dynamics, certain drama that transpires. It's sort of like, there's some hammy moments, there's some fun moments where it sort of sends up like the middle sort of classes or the upper classes. Like, there's this character who comes in at one point, this rich Yorkshire man, and man does he have a Yorkshire accent. A funny like drunk character who comes with the young couple, and he's like passed out in the back seat of the car when they're like driving through the rain, and he randomly wakes up and starts singing, and his whole thing is like drunken sort of singing. So at one point he like gets the words wrong to Singing in the Rain, like he just does this whole drunken version which is funny, and it's ideal because they're in the rain. And then there's some funny song he starts singing when they're at like the dinner table, and he's just an entertaining drunk. But the film's entertaining to go along with some good like basic horror, and it is quite old-fashioned. I mean, sometimes the old-fashionedness of it maybe is what stands out about it, maybe being a little bit dated, but I think overall it holds up very well. Sort of a staple of like the classic sort of like strangers gathered together in like an old sort of dark house where there's just a mystery to it. I mean, there's nothing really supernatural about this. It's not like a haunted house, but you know that somewhere in the house there's something lurking which is dangerous. And there's a nice little twist to it as well, with like the reveal of the brother to the guy who runs the house. He has a brother which they don't know about at first. So give it 8 out of 10. I think it's strong stuff, and if you're into this kind of film, it's a good one to check out if you haven't. So The Old Dark House, I'd recommend checking it out. It's a short film as well, and it's also free on YouTube, so do check it out if you've never seen it before. And I'll be back again tomorrow with another review, doing this all month, of course, doing some horror TV to go along with it. And also me and Rachel, we have a special top 10 list which will be coming up later in the month, so look out for more, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Goodbye.